Do you want to manage your wave to zone out and deny your enemy gold and EXP, set up ganks and tower dives, and destroy lane opponents to carry your games? However, when you try to do that, does your lane end up looking like this, where you find yourself completely denied farm and getting ganked 24/7? My name is Xpecial, a former pro and coach with over a decade of experience, and in this video, I'll explain exactly how to take control of your lane through wave management. Specifically, I'll walk you through the 4 most common mistakes players make with wave management and how to fix them instantly. By the end of this video, I guarantee you'll be a stronger and more consistent laner, so stick around to the end. But before we dive into that, let me remind you that if you're trying to improve at League of Legends and you'd like some help, my team of challengers, LCS coaches, and I help people like you gain 400 LP in just 6 weeks guaranteed inside the Masters Roadmap program. You'll be getting over 30 hours of personalized coaching with hands-on drills, scrims, and one-on-ones to make sure you learn everything you need to hit Masters Plus. So, if you're serious about putting in the work to see results, message me the word WAVES on Discord using the link in the description below to book a free call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. Hurry, because half our spots have already been filled up for Season 2. The first mistake I commonly see players make is freezing in the wrong spots, resulting in them missing out on a lot of good plays without even realizing it. You probably already know that when you see a slow pushing wave coming into your turret, you have the chance to tank the minions a bit to hold a freeze. And doing so is usually good, right? Not necessarily. In reality, it's more situational than most people believe. Think of freezing as a slow strategy that gives you small leads over time, which means you only want to use it if there aren't better plays available. So, before you freeze, you need to ask yourself the following questions so you don't end up over freezing. First, do I have a combat lead? The rule of thumb here is that if your enemy is stronger than you, you shouldn't try to hold a freeze, as they can simply walk up, crash a wave, and have plenty of time to roam. If you try to freeze in such a scenario, you're just helping your lane opponent by giving them time to go for an impactful play. But don't forget that there is one important exception to this rule, which is if you're setting up a small freeze to bait for a gank. That way, if your enemy tries to crash a wave, you will have a numbers advantage, and you might just secure a kill. The second question is, can my enemy roam? The point of freezing is to get a gold and experience lead in lane, but you could be shooting yourself in the foot if your enemy can simply lead the lane and make a huge impact elsewhere on the map, giving them and their team much more golden experience than what you are gaining with your freeze, which puts them closer to victory. This idea is pretty straightforward, but way too many people don't recognize it. Before deciding whether to freeze or not, look at the minimap from the enemy's perspective. If they can just roam and make a game-winning play, for example, your bot lane is pushed in and diveable, that is not a good idea to freeze. The third question is, do I want to stay in lane? Before you lock yourself into a freeze, ask yourself if you even want to be in the lane. Freezing is bad when you must roam or recall soon, as you're forced to stay around in order to collect minions that you're holding if you don't want to miss out on that sweet golden experience. Additionally, because of all the early objectives in the game right now, like grubs, plates, herald, and drakes, you should not be freezing past 10 minutes, as that is when the game becomes more dynamic. Freezing while your team needs your help for herald, for instance, not a good idea. Instead, take a look at this example from Ruler where he follows this framework perfectly. Here, Ruler, seen by many as the best AD carry in the world, has the opportunity to freeze as he's got a combat lead, due to him having more items than HP, and the enemy bot can't really roam. Therefore, he meets the first 2 conditions to hold a freeze. However, he still decides to push. Why? Simply because he knows that he needs to play faster and push his leads even further by making aggressive plays, meaning that he does not want to stay in lane for long, breaking the third condition. To be fair, the immediate outcome of the play that he made was not that great, as they traded 1 for 2 in the dive. But still, they managed to deny a wave, reveal the enemy jungler's position, and set up a wave to bounce back. Now, with the wave bouncing back, we can finally freeze to deny farm, right? Not exactly. Ruler knows that to carry this game, he again needs to keep pushing his lead and keep playing fast pace. So he fast pushes the wave, knowing that the enemy support is mid, and he sets up an easy dive, securing him an even bigger lead, which puts his team back in the driver's seat. In short, before you think of freezing, go over all of these requirements in your head and evaluate if freezing is even the best option. Remember, freezing is usually only done a few times a game because of all these prerequisites. That means that if you find yourself constantly freezing, you're likely missing the chances of making more aggressive plays that will actually generate big leads for you. You have other options like diving, taking plates, and roaming that are far more aggressive than freezing and push your leads way further. If freezing is clearly not your problem, but you still believe your wave control could be improved, there's a good chance it's because you're doing the direct opposite of freezing. You're autopiloting to fast push. It should come as no surprise that playing autopilot mode is bad, as you need to be actively thinking to make the best decisions. However, way too frequently, people are just wasting their abilities on every single wave, even when they think they're being mindful of their decisions. This is something that I and other pros would do a lot in early league, but in modern league, people realize that once you have a small pushing lead, you should start slow pushing and pressure the enemies a lot more, which allows your team to go for more aggressive plays with better outcomes. Instead of always fast pushing, the default way of approaching waves should be slow pushing and being ready to use your abilities on the enemy champions when you get the opportunity. But if slow pushing is so powerful, you might be asking yourself, when should I fast push? The answer is simple. It's only if you need to crash away fast, like when you need to reset, roam, deny minions because your laner isn't in lane, or deny potential ganks. If you're not pushing with a goal in mind, then fast pushing is often not a good option. Take a look at how much pressure you can make if you simply opt into slow pushing instead of fast pushing in lane. Once you've mastered the balance between playing slow and fast with your waves, the next mistake you could be making is not recognizing wave states quickly enough. As most of you know, every wave state falls into one of those three spots: neutral, pushing, or frozen. And in most cases, you know how to identify what happened with these waves. But here is the catch. League doesn't always follow the textbook. In other words, because waves come so often and players are unpredictable, you'll be facing scenarios where the state of the minions is confusing and it may be hard to tell what will happen with the wave. Here's a challenge for you. Look at the following clips and try to tell what will happen with the wave. First, let's watch this clip from Bin, the top laner from BLG. At 450, we see that the enemy minions are coming into him, and he tries to set up a small freeze. But guess what will happen with the wave as he trades HP at around 520 into the game? The wave would still stay frozen, right? No, because Bin didn't protect the freeze. The wave state eventually turned into a slow push, which is fine, but only since Bin recognized it and crashed a wave right on time to contest scrubs. Because of that, he got a kill on Viego, recalled, and came back in lane right in time to catch a big wave. For the second clip, let's watch KT Rolster's mid laner, BDD. Here, we can see that due to a mechanical misplay, he ends up dying at level 2 to a gank. Let's think of Talia's perspective. What will happen to the wave, and what should she do? If you guessed the wave was in a bad spot and she tried to push it, you'd agree with her decision. But actually, it was the wrong one. Here's why. Sylas's wave had more caster minions and was closer to his turret, meaning the wave would naturally bounce back toward Talia if left alone. But she didn't recognize this and stayed to attack the wave. This mistake not only got her killed, but left her wave in an even worse state. If you were surprised by the results of either of these clips, don't worry, as most players struggle with those messy and unclear scenarios. The secret to identifying these wave states is accounting for the number of minions, their health, who they are targeting, and what side they are closer to. Pro tip, keep in mind there's a secret buff based on turrets taken and the average level of each team that can impact which side will push, and you can always check that on the top left of your screen once you click on a minion. Finally, after mastering the 3 concepts discussed so far, the last mistake a lot of players make is simply not playing slow enough. It is widely known that to slow push a wave or freeze, you need to be only last hitting the minions. But let me tell you something. The exact time you input an attack command can make a huge difference in how your wave will behave. Here's an example. Let's say your auto attack will kill minions at 10% HP. If you're killing minions as they're around 8 or 9% HP, you'll be pushing the wave faster than you wait for them to be around 3 or 4% HP. This small adjustment gives you more control over the wave and more time to pressure your opponent, which is crucial to winning lane. Another use case of that is when last hitting on your turret. Sometimes it is better to wait for the next turret shot to trigger before you input your auto attack. This will make the turret take more time to kill the minions, making CSing easier and preserving the wave on your side of the lane. This is especially important to understand for support players, as CSing too quickly, especially with the support item, can actually mess up the timing of last hitting. That's all for now, thanks for watching.